I never thought betrayal would come to me in layers. First, in the way my husband dismissed me when I was at my most vulnerable, and then, like a blade twisting deeper, through a truth so sharp it split the very foundation of our marriage. It started with a chair. I was 9 months pregnant, swollen ankles, aching back, clutching the armrest of the living room sofa like it was the only thing tethering me to comfort. My belly had grown so heavy that even sitting down felt like relief from drowning. That's when his mother arrived. "Get up," Daniel said, standing over me, his voice sharp, almost impatient. I blinked at him, thinking I'd misheard. "What?" "Mom needs to sit. You'll be fine on the other chair." He gestured toward the stiff wooden dining chair pushed against the wall. My mouth went dry. "Daniel, I can barely stand." But he didn't wait for me to finish. He reached down, gripped my arm, and yanked. Not hard enough to hurt, but hard enough to humiliate. Hard enough that his mother, with her thin smile, slipped past me and sat where I'd just been. I stood there, belly protruding, pulse racing, staring at the two of them as though I were invisible in my own home. My face burned with shame and disbelief. That should have been the moment I broke. That should have been the crack wide enough to end us. But I swallowed it. Like I had swallowed every cutting word, every dismissal, every moment his loyalty leaned more toward his mother than me. And I told myself, endure this, it will get better when the baby comes. But I was wrong. The night that changed everything came 3 weeks later. Our daughter was asleep in her crib, soft breaths filling the nursery. I had crept downstairs for a glass of water when I heard Daniel's voice. Low. Urgent. Not the casual tone he used with work calls. I paused near the staircase, my hand tightening around the banister. "I can't talk right now," he whispered. A pause. Then, "No, don't say that. You know what she means to me. You know what this is." My blood ran cold. There was silence, then a soft chuckle. His chuckle. The one I hadn't heard directed at me in months. "I'll see you tomorrow," he murmured. I felt sick. My stomach tightened, not from pregnancy anymore, but from the unmistakable sting of recognition. That wasn't a work call. That wasn't a friend. That was intimacy, the kind he had drained from me, drop by drop over the last year. I slipped back upstairs, trembling, holding onto the wall, so I wouldn't collapse. The next morning, I watched him leave for work with his pressed shirt and distant eyes. Something inside me cracked. When the baby finally drifted into her morning nap, I grabbed his laptop. My hands shook so violently, I nearly dropped it. I didn't want to look, but I needed to. It didn't take long. His emails were full of business jargon, but the text messages synced to his laptop were a different story. There she was. Claire. Her words lit up the screen. I couldn't stop thinking about last night. About us. "She doesn't suspect a thing, does she? I hate that she's having your baby. It should have been ours." My chest constricted, so tight, I couldn't breathe. Every word blurred before my eyes. I pressed a hand to my mouth, afraid the scream clawing its way up my throat would wake the baby. So it wasn't just an affair. It was a plan. A life he had envisioned with someone else, while I carried his child. That evening, I didn't confront him. I couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I played the part. I asked about his day. I kissed his cheek. I tucked our daughter into his arms, watching his face soften the way it never did for me anymore. But inside, I was unraveling. At night, when he turned away from me in bed, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, the glow of his phone lighting his face as he typed to her. "She doesn't suspect a thing, does she?" "No, Daniel. Not until now." Days turned into a blur. My body ached, my mind splintered, and every time he touched me, I felt a sickness coil inside my chest. But I didn't explode. Not yet. I wanted evidence. Proof strong enough that he couldn't twist, couldn't deny. So I waited. And then the opportunity came. One Saturday, he said he was going to work on a project with a colleague. But he didn't know that I'd slipped a small location tracker into his car, something I had ordered in secret. Hours later, I checked the app on my phone. My pulse thundered. He wasn't at work. He was at a small boutique hotel across town. I grabbed my keys, strapped my daughter into her car seat, and drove. When I pulled up, my hands were shaking so hard I could barely unbuckle her. But I didn't go inside. I couldn't risk her seeing. Instead, I sat in the car, staring at the front doors, until I saw them. Daniel and Claire, laughing, walking arm in arm like they were the ones building a future together. Like I had never existed. I thought I would collapse right there. That night, I finally confronted him. He walked through the door, smelling faintly of her perfume, and froze when he saw me standing in the living room with his laptop open on the table. "Daniel," I said, my voice trembling. "How long?" His jaw tightened. "What are you talking about?" "Don't," I snapped, louder this time. My voice startled even me. "Don't you dare lie. I saw the messages. I saw you today. With her." Silence. Heavy. Crushing. Finally, he sank onto the sofa, the same sofa he had yanked me off of weeks ago for his mother. His head dropped into his hands. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this." My laugh was sharp, bitter. "Oh, so you did mean for me to find out? Just not now. Not when I'm 9 months pregnant. Not when I've given you everything I have left." "She understands me," he said quietly. The words sliced through me like glass. "And I don't," I whispered. He looked up, and for the first time, I saw no love in his eyes. Only regret. Only guilt. "It's over, isn't it?" I said. He didn't answer. And that was my answer. The days that followed were a blur of lawyers, paperwork, tears I couldn't stop, and a hollowness that spread through me like winter frost. His mother called me selfish. Said I was tearing the family apart. But I was done swallowing shame. Because the truth was simple. He had chosen her long before I knew. He had chosen himself, his mother, his mistress. Anyone but me. The night the divorce papers were signed, I stood in my daughter's nursery, watching her tiny chest rise and fall. "I'm sorry," I whispered, brushing my lips against her forehead. "I'm sorry your father couldn't love us the way we deserved." But as the words left me, I realized something. I wasn't broken. Not completely. Because while Daniel had betrayed me, while he had built a life behind my back, he had also left me with something stronger. A reason to stand. A reason to walk away. A reason to build a future that didn't include him. And as I closed the door to the nursery that night, I knew one thing with absolute clarity. The man who had yanked me from my seat, who had stolen my dignity, my trust, my love, would never again have the power to yank me from my life. He had already given that seat away. But I had taken something far more powerful in return, my freedom.